Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Yes, we have an important episode for you today. And tonight, Aaron Viles, our host, is off. But first, are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? Yes, you are. We know our Commonwealth has some work that it needs to do. Yes, yes, yes. And if we're going to do it, we're going to have to beat back the red wave of bad politics and policy from the GOP supermajority in Frankfort, from bills to block reproductive justice to cutting taxes for the wealthy while blocking investments in our own Commonwealth. We're going to need your help. So if you want a Commonwealth that works for all of us, join Progress Kentucky. It's easy. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you spend your time on social media. Make sure to like and share and comment on our content. It helps us with the algorithm. So more information can go out all over the Commonwealth. And if you like what you're hearing on Kernels of Truth, give us a thumbs up, leave us a review, or you can always, or I should say, share out the show. So first of all, we do this every week. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be up to Aaron Viles' standards of how great he is. But however, who and where and what does your protest sign say today? Oh, and you there on the internet? We mean you too. I want to read what your sign says as well. Put it in the chat while we're sharing ours. Mine says, and I want to show you all this. I'm going to stand up just a little bit. This is a great t-shirt I got over the weekend, okay? And since this is Women's Month and it's kind of wrapping up right now, I thought I'd wear this t-shirt. And it says, can you all see it? It says, empowered women empower women. Empowered women empower women. So I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky, live, and I'm going to send it on over here to Doug. Where are you?
Rice. I'm in Harrison County, Kentucky, home of a very fancy B&B, Ashford Acres. I always make a sign. I hope I got my spelling correct. I am looking forward to midnight, April 14th, 2022. That's the end of the session. Nema, how about you?
My sign says "Rise Up, Kentucky" because we're in a world of hurt, and I think that we all need to kind of follow along that message that we need to rise up as Kentuckians and really take back our government in Frankfort. And I'm in Lexington tonight, by the way, y'all.
Okay, so now we're going to start with news of the week. And yes, there's a lot of weak people in Frankfort. So, Doug, I think you have the first story.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. I'm going to start off talking about the final days of a disastrous Republican legislative session. It's really hard to decide which bills to highlight, but I'm going to start with House Bill 3, which received final passage and is on his way to the governor's desk. Well, he will veto this abortion bill. The bill is fashioned after a similar bill that was passed in Mississippi, yet another attempt for the Republican-led legislature to handmaiden Kentucky women. As you know, abortion is presently the law of the land, but Republican-led legislatures in Kentucky and other states continue to chip away at women's rights. House Bill 3, here's a quote from Tamara Weeder, solely and deliberately designed to eliminate all abortion in the state of Kentucky. This bill ignores our constitutional rights, dismisses science, and contradicts public opinion. Governor Beshear has already signaled that he will veto this unconstitutional bill. The next bill I want to highlight probably hasn't gotten a lot of press, but House Bill 248. This bill hasn't passed, but the bill would take away the ability of the executive branch to spend state funds challenging the constitutionality of bills. Only the state attorney general would be able to utilize state funds to challenge legislation. Perhaps the governor would be able to be involved informally with other groups if this bill passes that would bring suits against unconstitutional bills. As we know, the abortion bill, there will be suits filed. The next bill I want to highlight is a budget bill. That's HB 1. The state budget bill provides for raises to state government employees, which is sorely needed. An employee who started to work for the Commonwealth 10 years ago has never received a pay raise. It pays for full-day kindergarten, but included no funds for teacher raises and/or other school employees. Apparently, the legislature believes that raises should be local choice and suggested that school boards could fund raises if they choose. House Minority Leader Joni Jenkins said she was glad to see funding for full-day kindergarten restored, but was disappointed that HB 1 would still not mandate salary increases for teachers and K-12 school employees. It would not cover 100% of local school districts' transportation costs, would not fund cost of living adjustments for state retirees, or appropriate funding for universal pre-K. Those were all budget proposals from Beshear that did not win support from Republicans. The last bill I want to highlight involves the infamous charter school bill HB 9. The bill has passed both the House and the Senate and will most certainly be vetoed by the governor, followed by an attempt to override the governor's vetoes. This is where it may get interesting. The bill was passed in the House with a simple majority of 51 votes. There were several R's and D's voting for and against the measure. When the bill is sent back to the House to consider an override, it only takes one person to change the vote. Here is info on your screen on how House members voted then, and it'll be interesting to compare to now when the vote takes place. Our Representative William Lawrence did not vote, which seems strange, riding the fence, or maybe he just hadn't gotten his marching orders yet. Next bill, I'm going to continue to talk about HB 9. Representative Kim Banta voted in favor of HB 9 while her husband is involved with Corporex, the Corporex owner who is developing a piece of property in northern Kentucky. The project is described as a $1 billion transformation of an area in northern Kentucky. The developer has expressed the need to support an urban academy charter school accompanying his project, and I understand those exact words are in the bill, urban academy charter school. Kentucky 120 United has filed an ethics complaint with the Legislative Ethics Commission, and Representative Banta has denied that she was influenced by her husband's, Tom, work on the project. From the Constitution of Kentucky, Section 57, member having personal interest to make disclosure and not vote. A member who has a personal or private interest in any measure or bill proposed or pending before the General Assembly shall disclose the fact to the House of which he is a member and shall not vote thereon upon pain of expulsion. Recently, I corresponded with the Legislative Ethics Commission head related to how lobbyists report lobbying expenses. I found that lobbyists are required to report expenses related to lobbying a bill, but are not required to note names of legislators that were lobbied. Doesn't that seem important, or is that just me? The session ends on April 14th at midnight, and this will not happen soon enough for progressives. Conservative Republicans continue to push our Commonwealth backward. Nema, I'll send it on to you now.
All right. What I wanted to talk a little bit about today was about how it wasn't only public education advocates that got screwed so far this session. Mercifully, like you said, Doug, it's coming to a close. But it was also medical marijuana advocates in the state. You know, I don't think I've seen a bigger group of people more aggravated, and we were pretty aggravated in 120 and have been for a while. But the way that they've handled the medical marijuana bill in this state is absolutely shameful. And, you know, they keep talking about in Frankfort how well, every other state has charter schools, every other state has this, every other state has that. But they conveniently leave out the fact that every other state has a medical marijuana bill, and some of them actually have a recreational use bill. So, this is another thing where if that there's probably a lot of lobbying money. I'd say the bourbon industry's in on it. I'd say big pharma's in on it. And it's really sad because what we've seen this entire session is that the needs of regular everyday Kentuckians are completely being ignored in Frankfort, and it's all outside interest groups that are running the show. And it's just a sad, sad day. And I hope the medical marijuana people actually remember this at the polls. And remember that just because somebody says they're on your side today does not mean they're going to be on your side when the vote comes in. So it's a sad, sad day in the Commonwealth, and it's going to keep on rolling. The beatings will continue until morale improves at Sine Die.
I want to jump in real quick and thank Nema for co-hosting tonight. Is this your first time as a co-host of Kernels of Truth?
It is. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but I know a little bit or two about shenanigans in Frankfort, so I figure I can at least hopefully add to the conversation a little bit, Doug.
Well, you're doing a great job. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I love following your tweets. And, maybe one of these days I can get kicked out of the galley with you.
Well, civil disobedience is always a little bit of a good thing. So, why not? It's about time we all start getting a little bit rowdy, I believe.
Kimberly, you want to jump in here with the news?
Yeah, most definitely. As far as everything that you talked about, it's just the same thing week after week, and we have to keep speaking of it, making sure that people understand what's at stake, so that when it comes time to vote, their votes can truly matter by getting a lot of these so-called Republicans out of office. I mean, it's just shenanigans from the top all the way down, and it has to stop because we are not able, should I say, to help the people of Kentucky. However, our great governor and our president of the United States is concerned about Kentucky. And in my News in 5, I'll be talking about some really great things that are coming up and is already solidified. But as far as those folks in Frankfort, minus the Democrats, it's very frustrating to them as well. And I think you saw, I did some breaking news the other day that there was another state representative leaving. And the reason why she withdrew was because of the redistricting. She would have to, her opponent would be a good friend of hers that's already a state representative as well. So she, Mary Lou, withdrew. But it doesn't have to come to that. And it's just week after week. These bills, everything. We keep our fingers crossed, our eyes crossed, and our legs crossed. And we send prayers to God, and we keep positive energy coming from the universe. And it just seems at this particular time that they're steamrolling us every which way they can. I had an opportunity to talk to many state representatives over this week. Mary Lou, Colonel Pam McKenzie. I talked to a lot of them, and it's just extremely frustrating for the Democrats in Frankfort at this time. So anything that you ever say, Doug, will not surprise me one bit.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It just seems like they make a conscious decision to make decisions that are not in the general benefit of the population. Cutting out unemployment benefits when people need it the most. They passed a law that said the governor can't have executive actions related to the COVID situation, and then they changed that law to change the date, and that's going to affect unemployment benefits for some people, and it's just it's hard to grasp how um, I don't know how mean the Republican legislature is.
Well, I think, Doug, one of the things, if I can just pop in here, what we're seeing is we're seeing the tail wagging the dog. And a lot of them are so afraid of these people who are not Republicans, let's be clear, libertarian, Tea Party, whatever you want to call them. They're following these folks and trying to play with the cobra. I've always said, when you play with the cobra and you get bit by a cobra, don't act surprised, because a cobra will strike. That's what they do. They're a cobra. And so they're so twisted over these folks that, make no mistake, they've allowed them into their local parties. They've allowed them into their county level parties. They've allowed them to take control of these things. And now they're afraid. And so what they're doing is they're going so extreme to try to keep the votes and to keep themselves in office, that they're really and truly hurting Kentucky. And, a lot of these folks don't even know how the process works, don't even know we have a three branches of government. And, these folks know better. I heard today that Senator Berg basically said, we've got 60% of people in this country that don't know there's separation of powers. And half of them's probably sitting in this Senate chamber right now. And you know what? She's exactly right. But that's the problem. We've got a bunch of cowards sitting in these seats that think those seats are theirs. And they're not. They're ours. And we need to take them back.
I agree. I agree most definitely. We need to take back our power. And the only way that that will ever be able to happen is truly through the voting process. And we see exactly what they're doing. It's just very much in front of your face. You don't have to look far to investigate exactly what they're doing. They're trying to stop legitimate votes. They're trying to stop aid for those that need it. They're trying to stop our kids being taught actual history. I know they call it CRT, which is critical race theory, but how about this? It's part of history. It shouldn't even be, we shouldn't even have a debate over it. And it doesn't have to be called CRT. It could just be called, like when I was back in school and they didn't teach us anything except for we learned about Harriet Tubman and Martin Luther King Jr. I had to almost become an adult before I understood about the magnificent contributions to this country that my prior ancestors were able to do here in America. So it's just history. Like, let's tell the truth about history. It's more than the British are coming, the British is coming, and the Boston Tea Party. It's so much more. It may be a little complicated, a little intricate, but it's still history. And it's not history to try to make someone feel a certain way or to make other kids feel guilty. The reason why we consistently remember 9/11, the reason why we remember the Holocaust, the reason why we remember Pearl Harbor, and so many other instances in our history is so that we will not allow that to happen again. But once again, as a lot of people see it, not just Black people, but just decent human beings, period, we just see that the powers that be need to work harder. They need to work harder, that all of us have the information we need to know. That's why we are falling behind China, Japan, Korea. I'm talking about South Korea, and so many other places in the world, because a lot of these other countries, they've had women leaders. I'm talking about prime ministers, presidents, whatever the case may be. We are supposed to be the land of the free and the brave. So now it's America's time. That means the powers that be in Frankfort, uh, in Washington, D.C., right here in my city of Louisville. This is a time when we need to see how free we really are and how brave we really are. Back to you, Doug. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, it's very trying times. It seems like the Republicans get the dog whistle out, particularly when it comes to things like abortion or um, charter schools or just so many things that they play to the base rather than, in my opinion, doing what is best for the people of the Commonwealth. We have so much poverty, particularly in Eastern Kentucky, and yet they continue to pass bills that say you're you're not worthy. You're you're not as good as a middle class or a higher class person. We're going to cut your benefits. You're not looking for work. Um, they just don't care. And we had to figure out, progressives had to figure out a way to tap into those people to help them understand who is going to fight for them as opposed to who is going to try to keep them down.
Yeah, and I mean, you all probably talked about this, but you had grown men electeds crying on the floor, begging their colleagues, their party, not to hurt Eastern Kentucky with HB4. And what they do? Did it anyway. Did it anyway. And so, that's why that's why whenever I was watching the debate in the House, I'm like, come on, stand up. Mountain Caucus, stand up.
Nema, you crack me up. You crack me up. So, are you doing a story tonight for us?
Well, I mean, I can if you want me to, uh, but you just tell me. I'm following y'all's lead tonight.
I'm so good. Doug, she's like a breath of fresh air. So I don't have to be
Yes.
the only one, out of all these men, Nema, always having to do something. But you know what? You coming back next week. We're not scaring you too much, are we?
Oh no, no, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm sure next week you're gonna have a story. Watch this. So let me Doug, I don't trust Doug. Nema, I need you to clock me because Dougie Fresh.
All
That's
right,
what
let
I
me get my
call him,
phone.
Dougie Fresh.
All right. Oh, he's got you.
Oh man, I don't trust
All
it.
right, let me get on
I
here.
don't trust it.
You can nail this. I've seen you do it.
Oh man, I don't trust Dougie Fresh anymore. I
All
used
right,
to.
let
Okay,
me
I'm
see.
I'm starting. You got to get
Okay.
going here, girl.
All right. This is
All
the
right.
news in 5 or under. Okay. I'm Kimberly Cecil Jones coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, I love my city. Yes, I do. So I got a few things to say about my city, but some exciting things to say about other cities in Kentucky. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is there's a southern Kentucky county that's going to get fiber internet this spring. Can you guess what county that's going to be? Nobody got it right. So I'm going to tell you Pulaski County is going to get fiber internet this spring. Can we have a hand clap for that? Yes, yay. So not only that, 4,247 locations in and around Burnside, that's the city, Kentucky, will receive fiber internet. And that's a big deal. I know you all like, Kim, why you keep talking about that? Because like the rest of us have been with the new world of internet and they haven't. So I think this is a pretty big deal. Second of all, let's talk about LMPD right here in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, any of you all in Kentucky that can, get into when the information is coming out, the transmissions. Now the LMPD, which is Louisville Metro Police Department, is now saying they will delay public access to the radio transmissions by 15 minutes. The LMPD deputy chief says it's all about public safety, also to keep crucial information from getting into the wrong hands. So now it's not even going to be that fun listening to the scanner anymore because it's going to be like 15-minute delay. What are the newscasters going to do? I don't know. Maybe they have something special for them. I'll find out for you though. Next, talking about medical Mary Jane. Yes, we already spoke about this a little bit, but Senator Damon Thayer, he said he's hoping for a big push, but it is not going to go through anytime in 2022. So that's it on that. But also, let me talk something else about Louisville. Oh my God, it's a big article that says Louisville's jail is a slaughterhouse. What a catching title for an article, but it's true. It's no lie to it. The other director, he finally stepped down, which our Mayor Greg Fisher, had the power to go ahead and just get her done, fire him. Even when the FOP, everyone was like, he's not the one. They had meetings about it. And our mayor still did nothing. So the first person that died in the Louisville jail, it was November the 29th. Since November the 29th, we have had 8 deaths in our Louisville jail. And they're trying to start something about drugs being in the jail, but all these people falling out, it's always been drugs in the jail. Let's just talk about this for like 1 minute. It's always been drugs in the jail, but it hasn't always been drugs out here with fentanyl in it. And those people in Frankfort, they ought to be glad that the federal government is trying to do something when it comes to legal cannabis. And we're talking about recreational, medicinal, whatever. Weed might be legal. And the reason why it needs to be legal right now is because when you get cannabis off of the street, they are putting fentanyl in the cannabis. So what say you on that, Nema? Just real quick, and then we're going to go to our special guest that we have today. I can't wait to hear her.
Well, I completely agree with you. It is nuts, totally nuts. And by legalizing it, you can regulate what goes in it, and as a consumer what you're ingesting into your body. So we're so far behind the 8 ball. We're so far behind all this stuff. And I'm going to tell you, it's a shame what's been going on up in Louisville with the jail system. It needs to be fixed. There's a lot of things in Louisville Metro that need to be fixed. And I'm hoping and praying that you guys get it done, because I'm going to tell you, it's a mess. A mess.
Well, let me say this right quick, and then I'm going to shoot it over to Doug. But one thing is clear: the Department of Justice is not finished at this time investigating the Louisville Metro Police Department. And a lot of people seem to forget this. They also have come in to investigate Metro government, period. So right now, the spotlight is on Louisville, Kentucky. And, it's more fun when people are, oh, you got the Kentucky Derby. Oh, my goodness. Well, let me bring one other good thing to you. The U of L girls made it to the Final Four. So, hey, Louisville still got something. What about you, Doug? Real quick, because I want to hear from Miss Anna White.
Yeah, I think I read something today that maybe Oldham County was getting fiber across the county. And, Oldham County is one of the most affluent counties, I guess, in Kentucky. I thought that was kind of strange.
They probably already had internet, but fiber is so much better and it's so different. And even in the largest county in Kentucky, out of all 120 counties, Jefferson County, internet has been great, it's been wonderful, but there are still certain areas right here in the number 1 county in Kentucky that does not have fiber internet. So, I think it's just about where you're at that point. We have internet, Wi-Fi, all of that, but I don't think that we have anything fiber at this point. So Pulaski County is going to be doing a lot better than Jefferson County at this particular moment in time. But Doug, I do know that you have everything together to introduce our wonderful guest tonight. I've been like, oh, I can't wait till she comes on. So you do the honors.
Yes, we're very excited tonight to have as our guest Anna White, who is a Kentucky election attorney. She has worked in politics and election law for more than 3 decades. She has represented hundreds of PACs, candidates, elected officials, and county parties over the years. She has been the counsel for the state Democratic Party in numerous successful lawsuits, including the voter disenfranchisement suit in 2018 and the prior redistricting action 10 years ago, and has represented most of Kentucky's Democratic legislators over the years in KREF, ethics, and other litigation. Plus, I'm proud to note that she is Progress Kentucky's attorney. A couple of months ago, we talked about the redistricting, which was a very hot topic. We had several guests on to talk about it, and we all know what happened. But it seems like it's kind of died lately. So, Miss Anna, the first thing I want to ask you is, what's happened with the redistricting lawsuit?
Well, you're right. I think what you're hearing and seeing is what the rest of us are hearing and seeing. Typically, these lawsuits start with a big bang, right? They're often filed right on the eve of the filing deadline, and there's a big hold, and everybody scrambles to get their arguments before the court so that we can decide which maps we run under. In this case, it kind of started with a whimper, that it wasn't filed before the filing deadline. So everybody was puzzled, had to go to the Secretary of State, who would only let folks file under the new maps. And since then, there's been just a lot of disinformation about, are we running under the new maps? Are we running under the old maps? Is there going to be some sort of a flip-flop? There was a hearing set last month, and then the experts couldn't show up for it, and the court really wanted to hear the experts for the Democratic Party live. They come from out of state, and he wanted to be able to show them exhibits, have the other side talk to them, and effectively cross-examine them. And since then, I keep checking the court filings every day, what's happening. It appears to just be sitting there. So anyone who wants my 2 cents, we're running under the new maps this election, folks. So anybody who's been holding off, sort of slow rolling their campaign with the feeling that maybe we're going to go back to the old maps, don't do that. We're running under the new maps this time, and it's very unlikely for a court to take take the new maps away and say we're going to run under the old maps, because if we think about it, redistricting occurs every 10 years. So the data, the census that supported the old maps is now what, 12 years old? So it's very unlikely that a court would say, hey, let's go back and use the census data from 13 years ago. Let's use that old map. So I think we're probably stuck with the maps we have moving forward. I do look forward to hearing what the experts have to say on both sides and having a good fight. But kind of the genie's out of the bottle now, and we have the maps that we have.
Oh, Kimberly, you're muted.
Oh my goodness, I was muted.
We knew it was something good. We could see.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I was really running it too. But Miss Hannah, I do have to tell you this. Like, I've heard, word on the streets is, in Jefferson County alone, there were 3 districts, predominantly African American constituency. And now this redistricting has narrowed it down to just 2 districts. So they're hoping and thinking that putting things like this, when this does go back to court, trial, whatever it needs to be, that could be some basis that the court may look at to say, something's wrong here. What do you think about that? And then after that, I'd like for you to answer this question for me. And then I'm going to hand it over to, I guess, our new co-host tonight, Nema. But, and how do you think this is going on with Supreme Court Judge Clarence Thomas and his wife? Should he recuse himself? But the first question is the one about them taking representation away from predominantly African American areas.
That is a huge concern. And in Kentucky, unfortunately, we don't have very many areas that are predominantly non-white. We tend to be a very white state and a very spread out state. And so it is awful when the representation of minority neighborhoods is diluted, as we see kind of in this new map. You know, a piece of it goes here, a piece of it goes there, a piece of it goes somewhere else. And to me, the argument that, hey, we're giving you 3 representatives, not just 1, lucky you, doesn't go very far. I think we need to really pay more attention to those neighborhoods and ask people who represent them, folks who live there, what do you want? Because I'm probably seeing history through rosy glow. But I remember in the past legislators going to leaders in low-income communities or in minority communities and saying, what do you want the map to look like? What helps you the most? And I don't see that happened this time. I think it was a few white men sitting around and saying, we'll cut the pie up this way. And that did disenfranchise people and continues to. I do think in the past, and probably in the new maps, the current maps, there was blending of various minority groups. You know, we're all interchangeable, right? We'll just put some Hispanic, some Black, some Native American, all in the same pool and say, well, here's a minority district. And I hope in the past that we did that because there were so few true minority areas. I'm not sure that happened this time. I think it was a very petty political map. But I do believe there's a reason I didn't file a suit on it. I'm not sure it's illegal. It's petty. It's cruel. It takes away power from those who need it and deserve it the most. But I'm not sure it's illegal. I do hope that we get really good testimony on why that was wrong and why that is unconstitutional. But I don't hold out a lot of hope. I've kind of moved on to the next step, which is what you have been saying, what Nema's been saying all night. Make noise, speak up. These are difficult topics. We don't walk through the halls of the annex. Well, you guys do, and I'm very proud of you. But most folks don't walk through the halls of the annex talking about race, talking about the hard issues. And I think we need to make a real effort to do that. Until we talk about the things that are hard all the time and very openly, we can't make change, because all of this is whispered and in back rooms and, I don't see color and other really emotionally charged and racially charged topics like that. We need to say, I do see color, and I see that we're stepping on the color. And we need to all say that all the time and have those uncomfortable conversations. And I think the more times you throw that uncomfortable conversation in the middle of the table where they're having redistricting or other discussions, the more people either have to get up and leave that table and leave a chair for someone who can make a good decision or address it. So I hope that we see change. I hope the map is unconstitutional, but regardless, we need to keep pressing forward and raising the voice of those who are often voiceless. And Clarence Thomas, oh my gosh. I'm still remembering the Coke can with the hair on it. So, that's where my mind goes. Shows how old I am. Can I even say that? I probably shouldn't. Bleep me out. But yes, I think he should recuse. I think even if the law and ethics did not require recusal, the ethics rules always have what they call the appearance of impropriety. If it looks like you're biased and doing something improper because of a relationship, whether with money or with a spouse, you should step down, because the public needs that confidence in the judiciary. We need to believe that judges are kind of morally pure, braver than the rest of us, and able to step away when it's in the best interest of the public rather than the best interests of themselves. So yes, recuse, yank him off.
And then we can pick somebody.
There you go. I'm ready.
Nema, what you got to say about all of this? You got a question, I know, from Miss Anna Whites.
Well, I've been watching, obviously being in Lexington, I've been watching, like Miss Anna was saying, about the pettiness of the maps. I mean, if you really look beyond what they did in Louisville, which was absolutely petty and atrocious, if you start digging down, you really see just how petty and who they're really trying to go after. And we're talking about people in their own party too. Now let's not, get that twisted. I mean, they did some things where you could tell who they want to get rid of, you know? So it wasn't like it was this big shock, I don't think, when we saw it, but targeting uh independent, like regular other, representatives and senators. I mean, it really is brazen, and it's almost, listen, I laughed so I don't cry, and so I saw some of these maps and I'm like, this is absolutely absurd, and we all know what y'all are doing, you know. And I'll just be honest with you, I had a conversation with one of the Republicans who was in charge of the maps, and I told him to go straight to hell because we all know what's going on. Don't try to pee in our ears and tell us it's raining. No, sir. We know exactly what you did. Don't try to tell me this stuff. My favorite is, well, what we did was constitutional. It's like Miss Anna was saying. Well, it might be constitutional, but that don't mean it's right, and that don't mean it's not dirty. It just wasn't illegal. So you're walking that fine line. But I'm telling you, if you dig in deep on those things, you'll see the story of what's going on inside the GOP, and you'll also see the petty from a group of grown men acting like this. That's the thing that makes me laugh. I'm like, are you serious? Grown men sitting around, drawing up maps, giggling all over themselves. I mean, I just, who has time for that kind of stuff?
Well, apparently people that we need to vote out of office, because it took a lot of time to say, oh, Bob lives here. Let's move his map one street, in some cases one house over, so he couldn't run. And it wasn't only elected officials, although primarily it was, but there were citizens who'd made a lot of noise about running or were forces in their community. Yep, yes, ma'am. And they just sort of carved you out and everybody else out. It was a shocking waste of time and money. And I think that regardless of what the suit does, I think we need to keep hammering on that. You wasted time, you wasted money. You now can't find time to address important health issues or poverty issues, or, we're taking away SNAP benefits from families and starving children. And the answer is, well, they have 30 days to appeal it. Well, would you like to be hungry for 30 days? I mean, and we're not talking about those important issues. We wasted time moving a neighborhood over so our friends could get in, and the guy we don't want at a lunch table can't sit there anymore. You can't sit by us, Bob, today. And we need to keep saying that. It's so easy once the session is over and once people are fully running in the new races and for the new seats to forget how we got here. And every time redistricting is disruptive, because you always have to move lines, but you don't have to move them in a petty way, and you can move them in a transparent way. You can say the census requires and allows us to put the map here, but we're doing it this way, and here's why. And even if it's a crappy reason, at least you're telling people, you're sharing it with them. And it's not this, opaque back room, suddenly, boom, here's a map with no discussion. And we need to push,
Exactly.
We need to talk about that, because we're doing this again in 10 years. And we have now tick, 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 a clock, and 10 years is not that long in politics, to be ready to do it right the next time, to be more transparent.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be in Portugal, and I'll just read about it, okay?
We're not going to let that happen. No, I'm sorry.
But Dougie Fresh, like, really, how do you feel about what Miss Anna White said? And I know you have a question for her. I know you do.
Oh, sure. What I think about, and I know that this can never happen, but there's got to be states that do an outstanding job of this. There's got to be measures that they do to take the politics out. And it would be wonderful if Kentucky could look at some models that are out there and try to do it, not just make sure it's constitutionally right, but make sure it's fair for everybody, because it is so important. we're our climate these days, it's going to be tough for progressive people to continue to work hard and affect change. I mean, we have to do it, but it's just so difficult in this climate. Um, but are there states out there that do just an outstanding job of redistricting, and how do they do it?
There are states that do a much better job, certainly, than we did. Redistricting in most states does result in litigation because somebody's always going to be upset. But most maps are constitutional. And so most of these lawsuits end in a finding that the map is okay. You might not like it, but it's okay. I think the states who do it better take in a lot of public input, like the League of Women Voters, talking to citizens, and just spending many more months not saying which apartment complex will give you more votes, let's put that in your district, but really, where is the population center? How does the population lie, and how can we more fairly divide it? So the more public input, the more national organization input, the better off you are. With the caveat that an entirely fair map, maybe even the League of Women Voters map, which was arguably very fair, may not have divided certain neighborhoods in a way that seemed super effective or fair to the folks living in that neighborhood. Because if you go to strict numerical fairness, you're not looking at things like, perhaps in our more rural or more inner city communities, people have a harder time getting out and voting. And so if you numerically make that an area with hardly any cars and lots of folks who have to work hourly jobs and can't get time off to vote or politic, maybe you're taking a voice away from them if they can't get to the polls. And so strict fairness is probably not the goal, but strict fairness probably gives you a really nice skeleton that you can kind of move around, put some braces on its teeth, and make it not merely fair, but also optimal for the populations who most deserve a voice. And that's what got lost this time. We lost every population who deserved a voice under the map.
I think that I still have hope. I hold on to hope. And listening to you tonight has truly made me feel just a little bit better, even though it's all kinds of wrong that's going on. But, you're giving us a pathway maybe to success, and that means a lot. I know it means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot also to Doug and Nema. So we just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I know that you'll be on here again as soon as we get any information concerning about the redistricting and what is going to be going on with that. Thank you so much, Miss Anna White. Any last words you'd like to give to our viewers?
Well, thank you very much, first and foremost, for having me on. Anytime I can listen to entertaining and smart people like you all makes my evening wonderful. And I do think, looking at the maps, even as bad as they are, I think the Republicans may have stabbed themselves in the leg by making a lot of districts more neutral than they otherwise were. They took short-term gains. It helps so-and-so who's in now. But I see a lot of opportunity 3 years from now, 4 years from now, to take a lot of those Republican seats back, or for the first time, and put them into Democratic hands. So I have hope. I'm so proud of the progressives. It's the progressives and the people under 30 who have changed this state. And before me, I see three faces of people who are making a difference every day. So incredibly proud of you all, and grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you, Miss Anna Weiss. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you,
And I'm
Miss Anna.
sure that
Thank
you
you
will
so
be
much.
coming back on the Kernels of Truth, because they're going to have to do something with that. So,
Wonderful.
ladies and gents, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye, Miss Anna Weiss. Now, coming up next, I always try to move myself. Thank you, Nate Dogg there. We're going to do our call to action. So tonight, since Miss Nema it's her first night, we'll go ahead on and let her do the call to action. And then right after that, I'll do the closing.
All righty.
Nema?
All right. I hope I'm doing this right. So my call to action is to call and say no on HB 9. Do not override the governor's veto of it. We're about 2 votes away from doing it in the House. We need every progressive in the state to call and blast all the phone lines and just say, oppose HB 9. Do not override the governor's veto. He's not vetoed it yet. We anticipate that'll happen at any second. And we really need progressives around the state and every holler, every nook and cranny, everywhere, to get on the phone and save public education, because these are your hometown schools. These are the pillars of your community, the centers of your community, and they will be damaged beyond control when charter schools come in and make money off of our tax dollars. Please call, write, email, do whatever it takes, send a carrier pigeon. But we really are close in the House, and we could really, really use the help. That's all I got for y'all. You're muted again.
I think Nate is muting me. I do. I do.
It's
Can't
our
trust
first time.
Dougie Fresh with the timing. Can't trust Nate Dogg with the mute. But anyway, what I wanted to say is on April the 8th, the Wendell Ford Dinner is going to be here in Louisville, Kentucky. It is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the largest county in the Commonwealth, which is Jefferson County. This is the who's who of the Democratic Party that comes to this event. It's going to be at the God House on the east side in the East Grand Ballroom. Parking will be free. Go to their website, which is Louisville Dems. That's Louisville and then DEMS.com. There's only just a few tickets remaining. And this is the opportunity when all of us have like that state representative you've been wanting to talk to. You've been wanting to say something to the governor. You've been wanting to say something to Congressman John Yarmouth. You've been wanting to say something to your judge executive. Whatever the case may be, they will be at the Wendell Ford Dinner. Wendell Ford was a great senator, great man of democracy, and his name lives on with this particular event that we do each year. So get your tickets. It's going to be fun. We got a whole lot of stuff planned. Plus, Louisville Tops Magazine will be there as well, taking pictures. So it's sure to be a great, great evening. And I'll be there too. I sure will. You want to see me in person? I'll be there. You want to tell me about myself and you don't like what I say? I'll be there. You want to tell us that we're doing a great job? I'll be there. Okay. So the next thing is Moral Monday with the Poor People's Campaign. So we're going to be gathering in Frankfort for our final Moral Monday to continue to press our legislators to listen to their constituents. I mean, I think Democrat legislators listen to their constituents, but I don't think the Republicans do. But, hey, if we don't try, we fail. If we try, we got a 50% chance. So I'm all for trying and continue to try and never give up. We are not going to give up until we get our state back. Okay. I'm talking to the Republicans right now. We will continue on until we get the Commonwealth back. Period. I just had to do that. I like doing that. Period. So we're going to be doing that Moral Monday in Frankfort, April the 4th at 3 p.m. Please join us. We like to have a good time too. Like, you just don't even know. Like, when we're not doing the show, we're like so fun. Aren't we, Doug?
Yes, we are a lot of fun.
Okay, you said, yeah, I'll give you that $10. I'll mail that to you for saying that. So we're doing that, and you know about the Wendell Ford Dinner. So first of all, I have to always do our disclaimer, okay? And just to make sure that we keep it honest, okay, Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State, organized as a 501c4, is affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, otherwise known as CAVE. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you, thank you, thank you to Aaron Viles for allowing me the opportunity to sit in his seat tonight. Um, Big shoes to fill, but I think, we came across okay. Let us know in the comments. Like you guys need to be like in the comments, like typing up some stuff. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you want us to maybe cover. Let us know what we can maybe improve on, or let us know what we're doing great on. We really relish your comments and your support. So next week, I'm just going to tell you this is going to be good. You all have not seen Amy McGrath for some time, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't been doing anything. So next week, we've got a great guest, and it's going to be Lieutenant Colonel, former candidate and former Marine fighter pilot, Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She's going to be joining us and bringing us up to speed with what she's been up to since leaving the public eye. And it's been a lot. It's been a lot of stuff. So you have got to be there. So also our logo and some graphic content was provided by Couchfire Media. To see more of their work, if you're interested in websites, animation, whatever the case may be, go to couchfiremedia.com. Production this evening was by our own Nate Orshan. I call him affectionately Nate Dog. So check him out as well. He did a great job producing the show tonight in Miss Annabelle's absence, but also the music that you normally hear on the show. You need to go to his website as well. And it's natosongs.com. And I say it every week, but in case you didn't get it, natosongs.com. If you miss our weekly live stream, you can always go back on Facebook, look at it. Then if you can just listen to us, you can pretty much hear us anywhere, like Spotify, iHeart, just anywhere that you see where you have your platforms of podcasting, you can see us. So a great shout out tonight to our great guest, attorney Anna White. Great shout out to Nate Dogg tonight for his great production work. Always great shout out to Dougie Fresh, because he is a policy wonk, which means that he researches very, very he researches like it takes him a long time to get the content and to verify the content for you. So kudos to Dougie Fresh tonight. And it has been so enjoyable with our new addition, Miss Nema. Yes, girl, I love you because you speak up and you speak out. And ladies and gentlemen, we love you too. You've been watching Kernels of Truth. We're all Kentucky Colonels telling the truth about Kentucky politics. And I just want to tell you this week, be nice to someone. Doesn't cost you anything for a smile. Text someone, call someone, pay it forward. But until then, same time next Wednesday, same bat channel with Amy McGrath. We'll see you then.
Doom 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 doom
Oh,
doom
Lord.
doom 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 doom.